Good morning. Barry Bryson here. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word. We're continuing our study of Paul's letter to the Colossians, and we're in chapter 4. And we're going to be reading verses 1 through 6. I really should have just included verse 1 with verse 25 of the last, because it really is part of the house rules that Paul gives. And I should have just read verse 1, and I apologize for not doing it. We mentioned last time at the end of talking about the house rules that he said to the slaves, you're serving Jesus. You're doing this for Jesus. You're not doing this for your master. You're doing it for Jesus. So do it well. Do it as good as you can, and you'll receive your inheritance. And then he says something in verse 25 that cuts both ways, to servant and master. He who does wrong will receive consequences of the wrong which he has done, and that without partiality. And we mentioned that it's important that he he includes the threat of judgment because Philemon is there. And the letter to Philemon is delivered at the same time by the same people who delivered this letter, as we'll see. Continue on this study. And Paul has a lot to say to him. Not much to say about masters here, not nearly so much as Peter does, or Paul does in Ephesians. Masters, grant your slaves justice and fairness, knowing that you too have a master in heaven. And that's all he says. But I think he only says that little bit because he has a lot more to say in the letter to Philemon. Okay, let's read verses 2 through 6 now. This is the last of his instructions to them, and it's, I need you to pray for me. I need you to pray for me. Devote yourselves to prayer, keeping alert in it with an attitude of thanksgiving, praying at the same time for us as well, that God may open to us a door for the word, so that we may speak forth the mystery of Christ, for which I also have been imprisoned, in order that I may make it clear in the way I ought to speak. Conduct yourselves with wisdom toward outsiders, making the most of the opportunity. Let your speech always be with grace, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how you should respond to each person. Okay, I find this so amazing. There are the themes of the theme of Thanksgiving, which he's already. It's a theme throughout. You know, he mentioned it when he's singing. Whatever you do, make it an act of thanksgiving. When you're praying, keep alert in prayer. I love that. Keep alert. He's talked about prayer being wrestling earlier. I've wrestled for you in prayer, and now he's saying, the person who prays is the watchman on the wall. Keeping an eye out. I remember that scene, that last scene. It's not a movie I particularly like very well, but it's got a great last scene of the bodyguard, Kevin Costner, and in the end, he's at a place and they're having prayer, and everybody's heads bowed, but not his, because he's security, and he's keeping watch, and it combines both of those things. That that prayer is itself a way of staying alert, but in our alertness, it's not an ominous alertness. We are alert with thanksgiving. Devote yourselves to prayer. Keep alert in it with thanksgiving. And then he says, pray for us. And what does he say? Pray. Pray that I might be released from prison so that I can get out there and back on the mission field. No, he knows that he's in the mission field. And he is in the mission field in jail because it was in jail that he met Onesimus, and Onesimus was baptized and is being sent back to Philemon. He doesn't ask to be let out of jail. He says, I want you to pray that a door will open up so that I will have more opportunity to share the truth about Jesus. He uses the word mysteries. He's not turning loose of that word that they have tried to co-opt. All mysteries are contained in Jesus Christ, he said earlier. So there are no secrets except what we can know through Jesus. And so let me, I want you to pray for me that I have more and more opportunity to share the truth about Jesus, and that when the time comes, I'll know what to say. I'll know what to say. And I pray for that for you too. Make sure when you have an opportunity, A, you take it, and B, you speak wisely. You speak graciously, and let your speech with grace and seasoned with salt. It's proper for the moment, proper for the time. Peter is going to say something quite similar in First Peter chapter 3 when he talks about them being interrogated. And he said, make sure you're always ready to give an answer, but with gentleness and reverence. And he's talking to the same people at the same time about the same thing, this imminent uh, persecution of Christians and by the Roman Empire. And when they get to be, when they come to the place where they're going to be interrogated because of their faith, and he's already in jail. He's already in jail, and they're in Asia, and the persecution's already started in Rome. It's about to hit Asia. It's going to hit Asia soon. And so I want you to pray for me while I'm in jail, not that I be released, but that I get more opportunity to share the gospel. And that when I have those opportunities, I say the right words. And I'm asking you to do the same thing. Well, thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes. We'll pick up with verse 7 next time. See you then.